do centers of excellence influence the work of scientists and ultimately the productivity of a country? Imagine being a minister in a government and having political responsibility for research in a whole country. Suppose you wonder how good your researchers really are. How can you find out? To get a more detailed picture of where you have strong research groups and where you have weak ones, you ask for specific evaluations of different fields. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund, in the course of its bid to make tertiary education more useful in economic transformation, realized that a paradigm shift was required with a focus on research and development. One key component of this shift is the establishment of the TETFund Centers of Excellence, the first group of which are drawn from Nigeria's first, second, and third generation universities. TETFund's boss, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, supported by the Board of Trustees of the agency, has been a devoted advocate of this initiative.
You may recall that upon assumption of duty as ES in 2014, I presented a 5-year strategic plan which proposed the establishment of a new department to drive R&D along with centers of excellence in our tertiary educational institutions, the beneficiary institutions, with the expectation that these centers of excellence would ultimately partner with research institutes and centers, private tertiary educational institutions, and the industry. Thus, when the TETFund BOT approved the creation of the Department of R&D and Centers of Excellence as part of my new 6-point vision of the organization, it conveyed the strong resolve of the BOT to pair Centers of Excellence with R&D as an indispensable component of the latter. Since Centers of Excellence invariably define research and innovation priorities of any country for local, regional, and national needs, TETFund has elected to support the institutionalization of R&D along with the promotion and funding of Centers of Excellence. This new thinking by TETFund underscores the paradigm shift towards deepening our interventions more in the core academic components alongside physical infrastructure development, as we know, for which TETFund is being celebrated and appreciated in our country today.
One of the first steps taken at the inception of Professor Bogoro's tenure as the Executive Secretary of TETFund was the establishment of the Department of Research and Development and Centers of Excellence.
With regards to the Centers of Excellence, remember we did say that if our universities are to play a meaningful role in the emergence of knowledge economy, then the universities themselves have to be centers of excellence. And we also did say that under 2020, Mr. President has graciously approved the sum of 12 billion naira for the establishment of 12 centers of excellence across the country. I'm happy to say that the Executive Secretary has started to implement this directive of Mr. President. All the 12 centers now have been given their allocation letters, guidelines for the establishment and management of these funds have been approved by the Board of Trustees, and the 12 universities that are to benefit from these centers. We've had a workshop, a 2-day workshop where we interacted with experts in the field, with those who have experiences in running centers of excellence and in sustaining centers of excellence. And the workshop was to help them to take off seamlessly, smoothly, so that we do not crash land. The essence is for these centers to truly be centers of excellence and also to ensure that they are run in a sustainable manner.
A country's economic wealth or lack thereof is directly linked to the quantity and complexity of products that it exports to the global market. An import-dependent nation will likely remain poor regardless of what political party is in government. To achieve strong economic growth, reduce poverty, and stem the brain drain of young people pursuing higher education and employment outside the region, Nigeria needs to promote increased productivity across key sectors, economic diversification, and structural reforms. Research for development is critical to achieving these goals. On this episode of The Paradigm Shift, we examine 6 TETFund Centers of Excellence with keen interest on the strategic thinking behind the establishment of each center and how relevant they will be to Nigeria's knowledge economy.
Everything rests on leadership. Good, bad, ugly rests on leadership.
Fair and effective governance is critical to ensuring that development benefits the people. Good governance should entail processes, decisions, and outcomes that sustain natural resources, develop and reward human capital, alleviate poverty, and improve the quality of life. Good public governance offers a powerful impetus for promoting reforms in policies and programs for sustainable development. These include open and transparent opportunities for poor and disadvantaged citizens to access information and secure their rights over land, forest, and energy resources, and to encourage governments to adopt policies that are more friendly to people and the environment.
The United States, the #1 democratic leader in the world, because of the kind of leadership they have over the last 4 years, you can see for yourself what is happening. So if you do not institutionalize good leadership, and you cannot just get leadership, you cannot just wake up in the morning and say, I'm a leader. Leadership requires a lot of skills, it requires a lot of knowledge, it requires a lot of drawing from experiences, and you need to have a center that dwells heavily on this. I say that it's easier to attain leadership position than to maintain it. So you need a center that would really help institutionalize good governance in this country and even beyond. So people go to universities, for example, Harvard, Columbia, Cambridge, for a short course on leadership, and they spend thousands of pounds and US dollars just to go for a 1-week training on leadership. This is because those people have documented a lot of experiences on leadership, and they have something to give you to prepare you for leadership and for governance. So we think that TETFund is of the view that if we have such a center in Nigeria, it will help us a lot to even the way we think about leadership and governance.
TETFund Center of Excellence in Public Governance and Leadership is located at the University of Abuja.
This is Abuja, the capital of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Leadership, when you talk about, this is the administrative capital. So when you talk about governance, leadership, everything, everybody looks up to Abuja. When you say the problem, for example, is government, people look up to Abuja. When you say everything is going well in this country, people look up to Abuja. So this is why University of Abuja is uniquely identified as a center for governance and leadership. University of Jos is unique. Look at the climate there.
The University of Jos, located in a city with a high elevation and one of the coolest climates in Nigeria, has been a hill resort ideal to serve as a base for research planning for Nigeria's food security. But why is food security important for a growing population? Well, everybody needs food. But the complexity of delivering sufficient food to a national population and to the whole world's population shows why food security is such a priority for all countries. In short, this is a national challenge because it's not just about food and feeding people, but also about practically all aspects of an economy and society. As population increases, so does demand, and so must production if we are to keep poverty away. To fail at this would be a catastrophe, while success opens up doors for business development, job opportunities, and export income. Unique fruits and vegetables that do not do well in the tropics have been known to thrive on the Jos Plateau. Fruits and vegetables like apples, strawberries, Irish potatoes, while difficult to farm elsewhere, are common products in Jos. Once developed through applied research, they can be supplied to massive industries that produce apple juice, potato chips, and flavored drinks, creating profits for businesses and revenue for government and jobs for the people.
That area is meant to address specific aspects of food security. That, crops, animals, whatever that has to do, that is unique to the weather of Plateau. You can get anything you want in Nigeria, Where if there are certain crops and certain breeds that can only do well in Plateau. So, but we have not developed those. We only keep saying that, you can do for example, you can grow apple, you can do this, you can do that in Plateau. But we haven't really done that in a scientific way, in a way that we can help grow the economy and ensure that such is produced in a commercial and viable quantity. And that's why University of Jos is selected to take, because of the particular weather of Plateau.
The Tafawa Balewa University Bauchi is also TETFund's Center for Excellence on Food Security, but in this case specializing in livestock, in particular ruminant animals.
Northeast generally, if you look at it, Northeast is a hub of large and small ruminants in Nigeria.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, through its governor, Godwin Emefiele, revealed the Nigerian economy bleeds over $1 million to foreign countries per annum from milk and yogurt consumption. That wealth, if kept within our economy, can greatly improve the quality of life of millions of Nigerians. Dairy is a prominent industry throughout the world.
If you look at the yield of milk in this country, the best a cow can give you is 2 liters a day, whereas you could get up to 35-50 liters of milk a day from a cow. And we also know that milk is essential for the growth of our economy. It's essential for the health and nutritional value of society. In developed countries, every child must have a glass of milk every morning and every evening. But if you come to this country looking for milk, you are in trouble. I have a colleague who came from the UK. She went to Mina, and she was used to taking milk. She was looking for milk in the entire Mina. She couldn't get fresh milk in Nigeria. If we really want to help our economy, if we want our children not to have stunted growth, if you want balanced growth, if you want our children to be very, very intelligent and bright, they have to be taking milk. But why is the milk? So this is one of the reasons why we are focusing largely on dairy production. Let people know that you don't need to have 50 cows to survive. You just need 3 good cows. 3 good cows is more than enough for you. 3 good cows can give you over 100 liters of milk per day.
Africa is comprised of 54 countries. The total number of dairy cows in Africa is 5 times that of the United States. The highest milk-producing countries in Africa are Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa, and Sudan. Of these countries, Ethiopia has the most cows, whereas South Africa has the greatest milk production per cow. This is as a result of better application of research and development. Among the top 4 milk-producing countries, only 2, Ethiopia and Kenya, are self-sufficient, meaning dairy production meets or exceeds dairy consumption. Therefore, an opportunity exists to expand dairy production for Nigeria rather than needing to import dairy products. Desertification causes loss of biological diversity, contributes to disease burden, alters geochemical composition of soil, contributes to water scarcity, reduced agricultural yield, and contributes to food insecurity and reduced economic growth. Conflicts usually emerge as a result of these.
University of Maiduguri they have been up and doing in terms of arid zones, climate studies. They have Center for Trans-Saharan Studies there for over 20 years. So it's only natural that they have comparative advantage.
How are we going to look at the cost and the budget, cost component of this particular assignment? Then we move on to the issue of outcome implementation strategy. What is going to be the implementation strategy? What is going to be the strategic framework within which this is going to, this particular idea, how is it going to function within the context of Nigeria? Then we move on to look at the issue that has to do with work plans.
The causes of desertification, in addition to natural phenomena, include population growth, removal of wood, overgrazing, soil erosion, and climate change. In order to tackle the devastating effect of desertification, TETFund set up its Center of Excellence on Arid Zone Research and Development at the University of Maiduguri, which is at the front line of this battle.
We know the weather of the environment generally, of not only Maiduguri now, not only Borno, but Northeast generally is threatened by desert. Half of Adamawa is already more or less semi-desert. Largely the entire Borno, parts of Yobe. You can take time to go to any of the states in the Northeast. Stretch your eyes as far as you can see. You can count trees that are there right now. So we are in real serious problem. And if you do not address the problem, before you know it, probably the entire country over time will, because desert encroaches very fast because of human activity and also because of inaction. So we feel that having a center there will help us address the problem and even probably reclaim our land from desertification.
The basic assignment for this Center of Excellence would be to impact Nigeria's knowledge economy by developing the tools for environment management of arid zones in the country. This can be achieved by using the following methods: planting more trees. The roots of trees hold the soil together and help to reduce soil erosion from wind and rain. Improving the quality of the soil. This can be managed by encouraging people to reduce the number of grazing animals they have and grow crops instead. The animal manure can be used to fertilize the crops grown. Growing crops in this way can improve the quality of the soil as it is held together by the roots of plants and protected from erosion. This type of farming is more sustainable. Water management. Water can be stored in earth dams in the wet season and used to irrigate crops during the dry season. This is an example of using appropriate technology to manage water supplies in desert environments. The Usman Namfodio University is TETFund's Center of Excellence in Urology and Nephrology.
The Executive Secretary happened to be in Sokoto together with the ASAUC, and they were invited to visit the university, that faculty, and they saw that so much has been invested in that area, and it will require additional support.
Why the choice of that place is that we've actually identified some level of excellence when it comes to nephrology in that particular, and their resident capacity. So all what we are trying to do is to make sure that we amplify those capacity, and we look at issues that has to do with nephrology, kidney issues, and a lot of forex in this country goes into that. People goes to India and every other thing, so we can convert that forex, we can redirect it to Sokoto.
End-stage renal disease accounts for 8% of all medical admissions and 42% of renal admissions in Nigeria. Age, hypertension, obesity, A history of illness, use of herbal medicines, and prolonged use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory analgesics have been identified as risk factors for chronic kidney disease in Nigeria.
When you have concentrations, when it comes to your aqueous solutions in your body, particularly the processing of your urine, that are things that pose a lot of challenge to your kidneys. So, and in the north, you can see that it's more or less we have desert, we have dry areas. So essentially, now that we have actually acquired capacity, people are returning to this country, being consultant nephrologists. If you don't want them to be going back, we need to create an ambience for them to work. And that will mean we need to actually get the requisite equipment that they use in the US and Europe down here so that they can do their work. While saving our life, we're actually reversing brain drain, and at the same time we are making more money by redirecting the forex that will have been going to kidney transplant, kidney issues to Sokoto.
There is a dearth of community-based data on the magnitude of CKD in Nigeria. But its study is very essential because the peak prevalence of CKD is between the 3rd and 5th decade of life, thus contributing to manpower shortage and economic waste. This can all be reversed in a manner that even attract foreign currency income for Nigeria.
Sokoto is close to other countries that are in the arid zone. We can now be importing forex through health system. So that's our intention around that. And we know we don't need to be wasting much of our time to say, oh, where are the capacity? Nigerians are there already in those places. University of Sokoto Teaching Hospital. So, and we know we have a critical mass. So why are we not taking the facilities to them? And we are better off collectively.
We look at areas of comparative advantage. And University of Sokoto is doing exceedingly well in that area. So the BOT in its wisdom believes that putting in additional money there will make the place truly a center of excellence. Renewable, sustainable energy, clean energy is the way to go in the world. If we ignore that area, it means by the time we arrive, we realize that we're already late because the whole world is already moving towards clean, renewable energy.
Industrialization involves increasing energy demand and consumption. Throughout the entire 20th century, electricity's share of total energy consumption has increased, and this hasn't changed in the current century. There has, however, been a massive change in the way the world generates its electricity.
People are moving away from crude oil. And here we are, you have a university that has already invested again so much in this area.
TETFund set up its Center of Excellence on Renewable Energy at the Bayero University, Kano. Nigeria is endowed with abundant energy resources, both conventional and renewable, which can potentially provide the country with a sufficient capacity to meet the ambitions of both urban and rural Nigeria. Yet, Nigeria has one of the lowest consumption rates of electricity per capita in Africa. With the demand superseding the generation, especially considering the nation's industrial aspirations, there is a need for access of rural communities to the electricity service in the country. Solar and other renewable technology can fill the gap here.
We actually want to research to actually see how we want to democratize power. That is the idea. What works in Maiduguri might not work in Lagos for the first time. Let us even decentralize the whole thing. Let us see what works in Kogi State, for example. Is it going to be a mixture of solar and thermal and coal? What is it? So the moment we do that, then we are actually now going to have a nodal point in our institutions who is going to be championed. They are going to be championed and they're primed to conduct research that can be localized within those regions. By the time we know that we decentralize this power, we democratize it, like I've said earlier, then people are going to have options. In Europe, hardly will you see any home that is going to rely on only one power source. It's not done. So when you have that, that's why you sell in Germany and Austria, I can say that one authoritatively, there are homes that are selling extra power generated through solar to the national grid, and they are being paid. Instead of you paying for tariff or power rates, government is even paying you for generating excess. So you are having incentive for generating for government. I can say this authoritatively because I've been to institutions and government agencies and even companies that have hosted me in Germany, and I can see not only that they painted their wall were covered with solar panel. The painting you see on the wall are solar panel, and they generate in excess of what is required, and government is uptaking it, and they are paying them.
You have a university that has already invested again so much in this area. They have already started. There's sustained effort in the university, to carry out research and develop different aspects of renewable energy. And it was only appropriate for TETFund to support that that effort as well, so that we also join Committee of Nations, that we may move away eventually from fuel oil, that will be less dependent on oil, and rely more on renewable, sustainable energy that is healthier to the environment and that is even cheaper.
It may take a while to feel the full impact of TETFund's investment in research and development. But most successful people would tell you that the most solid investments often take time. Ultimately, R&D will reduce our cost and increase our self-reliance through more efficient production processes or more efficient products. This will also help Nigeria gain competitive advantage and bring success to our nation. And that is the paradigm shift